this is another new aspect of our tradition, because we organized plenary panels before, but never on Sunday. So this is something new for us, like the opening. And but still, we would like to try, and we would like to discuss the topic, which is of course very hot. Everybody can see it in newspapers, on TV, in science fiction movies, or in some debates, that AI is now something very hot, very important. And of course, it's also very important for our community. However, we were thinking a little bit about this panel, and we realized that, well, our experiences so far with different panels at scientific conferences are quite tricky, because usually people discuss about dangers of AI, how difficult it is, how tricky it is. So people somehow, well, they focus on challenges, they focus on the problems, but they do not focus so much about opportunities and solutions of those problems. So we wanted this panel to be a little bit more balanced, and here we have the title, AI Don't Bite. You do not need to fear of AI, you just need to be careful. So this is the idea for today. And we are very happy to have 4 panelists who share different backgrounds, who represent different communities. Actually, we have 2 panelists from academia and 2 panelists from industry. So I believe that the discussion will be very fruitful and very constructive. Well, we will see. So let me introduce the panelists step by step. Our first panelist is Professor Jarosław Arabas, and I hope it is safe here.
Yes, it's safe.
Yes, it's safe. Okay. So, as you already know, Jarosław is our chair this year, and but he is also a great panelist, and he is a great expert on AI, particularly evolutionary computing, and I think computational intelligence in general. The second panelist, and you know already, Ivan as well. Ivan is the chair of the next conference. So we have 2 chairs, the current chair and the future chair. Ivan is, well, on the one hand, the future chair, but also it's worth mentioning that he is the track chair of one of 5 big tracks at the FedCSIS conference, and now actually you are not going to be track chair any longer, you are going to be topical area curator. And for those of you who attended FedCSIS last year, Ivan delivered a very interesting keynote on data science and big data analytics. So this is why Ivan is here with us. And the next panelist is from industry, Dr. Gloria with a very strong background in AI and also BI and different forms of consulting. And also, let me mention that you are also now topical area curator of IT in business and IT for business and society thematic area. Topical area, yes. So I'm very sorry, I keep learning. And the last, also from industry, Dr. Alina Powała, who is representing, currently she's representing QT Software, but you can see from this slide that she has also very strong theoretical background from the University of Warsaw. And actually it was Alina, if I can say so, inspired us like to have this kind of title of the panel. Because actually together with Alina we are working for some AI technologies, and you can see here information about one of our products, and here you can see this slogan, AI don't bite. So we discussed a little bit and we decided that we can borrow this AI don't bite motto for the panel today. Okay, so we are ready, and the panel is going to be organized like this. And by the way, I am Dominic, you already know me, so I will be moderator of the panel. And I represent both academia and industry, so it is completely balanced. So I prepared 3 rounds of questions, and I will be asking our panelists to answer these questions, and then of course we will have open discussion. So the first round is, let's say, introductory. It's a kind of warm-up. I would like to ask each of you about your favorite AI methods and favorite AI application areas. And Alina, you are here, so please start.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed panelists, and fellow attendees. So I have been very lucky because I believe that all my life I have been working on things that I actually like. Or maybe the other way around, maybe I just like the things that I work on. So anyway, here's the story of my life, because that's how I can tell you about the favorite AI applications, but it won't be long. The journey starts with my training in computer science and software engineering, and as you probably know, that type of training gives you the ability to solve complex problems, so problem-solving skills, computational thinking, and also the ability to come up with effective and efficient solutions. And then I did my PhD in artificial intelligence in multi-agent systems, that is a subset of AI. That if you do not know about that, I will just tell you a bit of it. So it deals with individual agents whose agents are intelligent, and they can be human agents or artificial bots. And they need to understand each other, coordinate with one another to solve some bigger task that is beyond the individual reach of them. And in my work, during my studies, I drew from concepts from many other fields like argumentation theory, theory of dialogue, non-deductive reasoning mechanisms. And that was very interdisciplinary work for me, coming from computer science background. Especially what I dealt with was designing dialogue systems for multi-agent systems. So I was basing my work on semi-formal theory of a dialogue by Wolfman and Powała. And then the application was in part consistent rule-based formalism, because we wanted our solutions to be applicable to real-world settings, where inconsistent information or missing information is rather a rule, not an exception. And then to answer the second part of your question about my favorite AI application areas, I'd say, because that's what I'm doing right now, it's in the business realm. So my day-to-day work involves talking to customers, talking to prospects who are at very different levels of AI maturity, and they have different needs. And what I like most about that is that it's not always, giving them the exact same solution, like everyone wanted deep learning or everyone wants generative AI projects. But sometimes you really have to understand and acknowledge that you're not really ready for AI in your company, that there is a lot of foundational work to be laid before you can move in that direction. And it's also very important to communicate that to your client, prospects, or partner. So to sum up, I'd say that the consistent rule-based modeling of languages in multi-agent systems will always have a special place in my heart. But right now, what keeps me awake at night is how to AI-ify businesses and really of those small companies or bigger ones, but those who are not really advanced in that process, who are at the very beginning of trying to implement AI in their work.
Thank you very much. Ivan, now you. What is your favorite?
Thank you very much. So, as I'm from academy, I cannot say this is favorite or not favorite. Our task is always to prepare students to be ready for everything that they are required to do by the methods that are appropriate in that time or in the context of that project. So I cannot say yes, this, but okay, I can say something. Maybe 24 or 5 years ago, I was in a position to present somehow the concept of neural networks to my students. I didn't know so much about it in that time, and I asked some of my colleagues who were much more practicing that. And when we came to the problem of constructing the networks, I asked, please explain me a method. Explain me the steps. What are the rules? What are the advices? Just I was given the answer. No method, no rules, no advices, just your invention what to do. And today I will strive for explainable models, for explainable AI, as I really believe that it's not just a black box. If we understand what's inside, we will have much more chance to be successful. So in this moment, just that, and I will proceed further.
Gloria, please.
So, thank you for the invitation to the panel, and my background is completely different than I think everyone else is here. So I am working as a consultant, as a project manager, and I manage projects that are all about business intelligence, analytics, and things like that. And in 1997, I was working for SAS Institute. Does anyone know SAS? Couple people, yeah? So what they do is they have software, and software is all about analytics. And at that time, they already were developing neural network software. But believe me, nobody knew what it did, okay? And nobody could explain it. And therefore, they were trying to sell a product that was kind of black box. So they couldn't sell it. So the biggest and the hottest topics was always explainable methods, explainable models. And what's interesting for me now is this 2023. So what is that, 20-something years later? And it's still all about explainable methods, explainable models. So I'm not convinced that people even today can tell you what's going on inside of a neural network. So if you talk about the favorite method, the favorite model, it's all about explainability. And that's what we see in projects today. Most of the customers are still using the same methods they used before. Multiple regression analysis, decision trees, all the stuff that I think you guys think is pretty boring, yeah? Because that's not why you're here, you want to talk about the new, the hottest stuff, but they're still all using the same old stuff.
Well, as for me, I have done sounds, as you, Dominic, maybe one of them. The sound of a practical engineer is slightly in behind currently, but still, from these 2 points of view, I would say that as a scientist, I do prefer evolutionary computation techniques because they are extremely interesting so far still. I have started the adventure with them many years ago, and still I am not bored. From the engineer point of view, I have completely no idea what kind of AI technique is my favorite, because first of all, I don't know what AI is. Secondly, from the engineering point of view, the technique is my favorite when it will work to solve the problem practically. And the third point is that I do not believe in explainable AI. I do believe in understandable techniques. There is a slight but significant difference between them. By the way, I don't know whether the term understandable AI is currently in the difference, so this is the world premiere of that word. Well, I don't know how to explain a person in the form of a rule, of a decision tree, or whatever, that if you take an attribute with the value x and the other one would be to be, then the person should be sick or not. We can translate the internal representation of a model into the language that can be explained to a person. Still, there is no explanation from the scientific point of view by doing this. I think that we should rather investigate the phenomena of various nonlinear AI models and try to understand when they will perform in a certain way, under which circumstances they will work or not. The explainable AI is something that is a hope for discovering new science, which would be something equivalent to physics or chemistry, without the soundness of physics and chemistry. I think that it will be all for this term.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all our panelists. Well, on the one hand, I slightly expected what you are going to say, but on the other hand, I am surprised, because I was thinking, well, probably you all are going to tell that the favorite AI technique is ChatGPT. Because now, when you listen to some, I don't know, news about AI, there is very strong equivalence. AI equals ChatGPT. Like, let's say 5 years ago, it was like AI equals deep learning. So then, but you talked a little bit of neural networks, so it's okay. Oh yes, that was, but Alina talked a little bit about it. So the question is, what is really AI, as you said? Like, on the one hand, from the mainstream perspective, this is ChatGPT and Midjourney, and a little bit of deep learning still, but on the other hand, you are talking about many different aspects, which are somehow all in the area, in the realm of the AI, and they help to each other. But I would like to have an extra question to you now, besides the rounds, because you talked a lot about explainability. And well, models can be explainable, understandable, interpretable, insightful. This is all very important. But on the other hand, we have ChatGPT, right? Everything. So, do you think it's possible to make such models like ChatGPT explainable? And is it really necessary? Do people wait for this? Do they expect it? Is it necessary, or they are going to use ChatGPT like, you know, like without any thought, any consequences? How do you feel? Who would like to answer or share your opinion?
Nobody, probably. So, is anybody here using ChatGPT? Y'all know what y'all. So I think it's an Emily Bender that has a good word for it. It's just math. I mean, you basically are using natural language processing, and it's basically trying to predict what is the next word, and you get the next word. And it sounds sensible, it sounds reasonable to a novice, to someone that doesn't know the answer, right? But it always gives you an answer. It doesn't mean it's the right answer, it just always gives you an answer. And I think we heard about the one case where there's a lawyer who decided to use ChatGPT and submitted a brief based on ChatGPT. I mean, come on. So depending on what the question really is underlying, I think it's out there, it's in the market, it's probably something that will probably stay in the market for a while until it starts making a complete catastrophe of everything, and then it'll be pulled from the market, like, what was the one from IBM, Watson, or whatever it was, that was pulled from the market for a while. Then there will be improvements made, and then eventually it'll come back and it'll be called something else. So it'll go through a life cycle, yeah? And I think it's good because it now has people at least talking and thinking about what it really means when you're actually using math for stuff. That's my answer.
Sorry, maybe. Okay, so I know that you know that AI Act is coming in 2 years' time. So I think that will also shed some light on the things that we have to carry about when building AI, when training an AI. From what I heard in AI Act, the new aspect of it is that you have to implement those measures while working on the project, in the process of gathering data, in the process of training models on the data that you gathered. So it's not only the outcome, the model that you get at the end, but it's also about the process and how you document the process of building those models, like it was with GDPR in Europe. I don't know if there are similar measurements in the US right now, but it's only in 2 years' time, so you have to prepare.
Dominic asked, is it possible to understand ChatGPT, or I mean...
is it possible to make it explainable?
Is it possible to make it explainable? Well, of course, that might be a possibility, but the question is who would be able to understand this explanation. That's my first thought. The second one is that the reaction of the world on ChatGPT was slightly frenetic because it shows another way of broadly speaking AI techniques to behave similarly like humans. So Turing would be happy if he with us still. But the question is that what was the ultimate reason of creating ChatGPT? Of course, we can try to answer that there was just a curiosity, there was a challenge to build something that resembles a human person, for example, politician, in speaking long time about everything. But I don't believe that this was the ultimate reason. The problem with ChatGPT and with other methods of producing fake content to the internet is that we will be observing a dramatic breakdown of trust in society and in the internet. So although we may be happy to play with ChatGPT, or we will be happy with playing with GANs or any other methods of creating movies with Queen Elizabeth, like Queen Elizabeth dancing on her desk, but still there is a big danger of spreading such fake news, such fake content, and of governing social behavior via this tool. I'm not saying that this was the ultimate goal of creating such software like ChatGPT, but despite of intentions of the creators, that it can be used in such a dangerous way. On Friday, you had a very nice debate on cheating with using AI during the Festival of Science in Warsaw. So if you are interested, please take a look at the Facebook Meta. There should be a recording of that discussion.
Would you like to say something?
Thank you. I much more wonder about ethical issues. Where is the border? And I think that some open dialogue at the level of a society is very important, that ChatGPT is in our hands. Is it ethical if we create maybe 50 or 60% of our paper for FedCSIS conference by using that tool or not? Of course, no. And how we will combine some ethical rules with regulations really to have a power of the tool like that, and not just to fall into the pitfalls, let's say, of just lying or doing nothing or something that's unethical. So that's my question, and also I think it's a question also for audience to discuss that also.
Thank you very much. So that was the extra question. But basing on your answers, we already know that AI does not equal to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is something important, but not only this. This is a kind of constellation. And of course, we can also see that there are many challenges, many problems, as I warned you at the very beginning of the panel. So let's proceed with this second topic. The second question is, what are, according to you, the biggest challenges in AI applications, and have you encountered them in your experience? And you can talk about ChatGPT, but not necessarily about ChatGPT. So, Gloria, please start, and I will bring your slide with this.
Oh, my slide. So, I don't know. We have a slide. I don't know. I couldn't get it. So, what I would like to start with is AI applications do not fall from the sky. You know, they don't fall from the sky. I think it's people in this room that are building things that are called AI applications. And this is just kind of a process flow for, one, you have to take source data from somewhere, and we know that for things like ChatGPT, it was taken from the internet, September 2021 or something like that was the starting point. And from there, they used it for the training data for the model. They built the model. And now what we have, which is the part in the middle, is we have a user interface that we use to interrogate ChatGPT. Yeah, and then the point that we're talking about is, well, what's the outcome of that? What do we do with the decisions? What is the impact on society? And I think the main point from my point of view is we in this room have a lot of responsibility in that area in terms of where do we source the data. There are lots of ethical concerns about that. You need to get consent from people. So these are the kinds of challenges that I think we face as people that are managing projects now, is what is the role of the different people in the project, what are their responsibilities to make sure that we build applications that don't impact negatively the society and the environment. I think there was an interesting conversation in our track today about energy consumption. And if you think about how much does it take to train these models, yeah, in terms of not only electricity, but also water and things like that. So every time we're building them and every time they're being interrogated, there's an impact on local communities, there's an impact on the local environment. When they're used, if we talk about applications and things that are built that are doing surveillance, so we're surveilling people, facial recognition where maybe we didn't test it properly, so it doesn't consider all kind of profiles. So I think from my point of view, when we talk about the challenge, I think the first and the most important challenge is just to realize that they don't fall from the sky, that we in the projects are responsible for them, and we have ethical and moral responsibilities for what we build. And I think the AI Act is looking more at having a process of doing a risk assessment before something is deployed on that last part. So that's the AI Act in terms of what it is. You need to make sure that you qualify your model and that it meets certain criteria. But then they decided to define things as high-risk models. Well, what's high risk? I think disinformation is high risk. I don't know if they think disinformation is high risk. But we also have some things in GDPR that are helpful. So for example, in GDPR, if you have a model and it's being used for decisions in an automatic way, an individual can ask for a manual decision. But I think most people don't know that. So I think just to summarize and not to take the complete for, I think the main challenge is to realize that the applications don't fall from the sky. We have different individual responsibilities that we didn't have before, because I never had to worry about how my outcome was used because my stakeholder was the people that were paying me. Well, now the stakeholders is really us as the local environment, the society, and things like that. And believe me, that's a completely different ballgame that I've never played in before. So I think that's the challenge.
Thank you. Jarek, how about you?
Well, you asked to talk about experience, let's say. So maybe I share some experience from my outside academia life in the power sector, where I used to introduced neural networks, evolution optimization into the Polish electricity market in late 90s and in the beginning of the year 2000. So when I was contacting with customers, there were generally two types of customers, either enthusiasts or skeptics. And hardly ever I met a person who has a good knowledge about networks, or computation, or old AI stuff like that, and has a knowledge about its limitations, however, also good and strong points. So this is one risk driver, a person who are you dealing with. The second risk driver is that in many cases, for example, in optimized using convolutional computation, the result is slightly different from one run to another because the technique is a random one. So the problem is for a person who is a customer, the result varies from run to another, regardless of the fact that the differences in the quality are are very small. However, the result is not reproducible. The enthusiasm, both the skeptically looking people, are expecting that an AI system will have a very simple interface with a single node, solve the problem. Our scientific perspective, on the other hand, is rather suggesting a huge file of parameters, hyperparameters, and hyperparameters that control the process of learning, acquiring data, solving the problem, etc., etc. And if it doesn't work in the iteration number 120, then we'll trigger something in the parameter file, and then we can have another run to take a chance for another solution. This is rather hardly acceptable in the environment, in the production environment. Another risk driver, I would say, is a high difference between great expectations people have while reading everything that can be read in the internet about the AI, and the ability of AI systems to solve their problems. Well, it's very easy to turn an enthusiast into a person that hates AI because it does not solve his or her problem in a moment, at once. And the last thing that I would like to mention is quite obvious, but it should be said, that while doing modeling, we are slaves of data. So if the data are wrong, then the rubbish in, rubbish out rule works. But we should also generalize it. Namely, while the system that uses a model of, for example, of a power plant goes into the operation and it works for 1 month or another and another and another, then the plant that has been modeled undergoes changes. And the way to capture the changes is a big challenge for every modeler in order to keep the quality of the control system that is based on this model on a satisfactory level. That's all.
Thank you. Alina?
Thank you. So, in my opinion, there are really many challenges here, but I think I'm going to talk about 2 of them that are particularly important to me. So one is the practical implementation of AI, and the other one is the utility of AI in the real world systems. So let's think about thoughtful operationalization of AI and what does it really mean? Well, to me, it means taking the model from the development phase to a stage where it is really used on a daily basis by operations teams of businesses and organizations. So that's the operationalization for me. And it's important to be very thoughtful about this process because there are so many aspects, so many stakeholders that have to be on the same page regarding the project that they're carrying out. So the users or the people who are being affected by the project, the AI, have to be taken care of, have to communicate to, they have to comprehend really the outcomes of the AI systems if they are going to act upon these outcomes. There's one example from my professional past where we worked on a project for scoring calls in a call center. So the model was great, it was working, we computed the expected return on investment, and then we flagged it to be deployed in production. So the operations teams could really start using that model. And after a few weeks of the model in production, our boss told us that we're not seeing the ROI that we computed. And when the whole thing came out, it appeared that in the system, the operators were using, the call center agents, the column that contained the scores of our model was not sortable, so they couldn't really use the model, and it was not applied in practice. But who are the bad guys who didn't deliver us, right? So that brings me to two topics. One is the end user and the consumer of your outcome. Sometimes it's not up to us, the model creators, to be responsible for how the model is used. There are other stakeholders who might, can I speak? Yeah. who might not know how to use the model. We have to educate them. So these are the end users. And the other thing is, how do we compute or calculate the return on investment for our projects? Because it's expensive. Collecting data is expensive. Our work is expensive. It takes time, money, and resources to run all those artificial intelligence projects. You have to get stakeholders buy-in for those projects. And at the end, there is this question whether it was a success or a failure. And if it was a failure, then if that company will ever try to do something with AI again, and if it's a missed opportunity, or if it's just a mishandling of this work by the operations teams. So I'd say, from my perspective, although there are so many other challenges that we both spoke about, the one thing is, how do we make sure that the models in production are used the way they were intended to? And the other thing is, how do we make sure that all the stakeholders, the users who use the outcomes, and also the people who are affected by the outcomes, are trained and educated so they know what actually they're dealing with when we treat AI as a tool.
Thank you. My opinion is that I pretend to use the notion of big data crisis. Meaning, we have huge amounts of data. We have needs and requirements in our problem domains. We have experts. We have tools. We have everything. But somehow something fails. And we cannot face how to find a really effective solution, as Alina also mentioned before. So, where are the problems? One of the problems is in the level of maturity of some company. How to raise the level of maturity of some company to really utilize this, whatever we have in our plate as a selection of tools and methods for everything. So from my point of view, still, most hot part in all those projects is in requirements engineering and business understanding and in data understanding. So strategy is very important. sometimes I see many AI projects like isolated islands, just, okay, I will complete my project and produce some results. I will complete some other project and produce maybe some results. But for whom? For what future? For what perspective? So people typically do not invest enough time in that. As we like to have some results, we need a strategy. I will just maybe conclude with a sentence. If one doesn't know to which port to sail, no wind will be favorable. So I'm always on the side not to use requirements engineering as some voluntaristic process. We really need deploying methods, like in all other software engineering projects. It's not very popular what I said now, I know that. But some level of discipline, combined of course with my inventive soul to find something for which there is no method, is really important if we have a success of our AI projects. Thank you.
Yes?
So I just wanted to comment. I kind of see the AI mode right now kind of like the .com mode. Remember the .com mode? People invested lots of money in things they had no idea they were invested in. That's where we are now. So I think the reason we don't have a definition for AI is just because it's whatever executive can get on CNBC and say, I have an AI strategy, even if they have no clue what it means. So I think now is the opportunity time to tackle some of these problems and find the money.
Thank you very much. Actually, I reminded something by myself that once some venture capital company contacted us to do some assessment. They wanted to invest money in some company, but that company told them that they are AI company, and venture capitals, they wanted to double check whether this is really AI or not. So we had a kind of triple problem, like first of all, what is AI? And whether this particular company can apply it in some sense. But I have one more extra question to you, because I got, I like this idea in some sense of single button, like SBI, single button intelligence, right? And so on the one hand, indeed, we have enthusiasts who expect that, okay, they will press this single button and everything will change for good. But on the other hand, we have other people, and I'm just wondering about your opinion. Is it possible to make AI software in any kind of application area, let's say, more interactive? But I do not mean interaction for end users, but somehow interaction for designers, administrators, just to set up everything, but not at the level of those hyper parameters, but maybe at the level of some nice visual setting. I'm not sure. Have you heard about something like this? Alina, yeah, let's start.
Yeah, I can just say what I witnessed recently on LinkedIn. So almost every company I follow has now generated AI plugin where you can interact with the software they have underneath. So I guess that's not the question, is it possible, but whether I should have such a functionality in my product or not. If that makes sense. And whether, when we're talking about this one button, I don't really believe in one button solutions, but what I believe in is in education of our consumers as well. And it always bothered me that when I was in primary school, they taught me maths in the way they taught me. It was cool. But then when I went to high school, they said, no, what you learned was not true. It's actually like this. But because they couldn't tell us everything at once. And I believe the same way the same method applies to the businesses who are on the very early stages of AI maturity. Sometimes it's too much for them. And you have to simplify the picture to get them on board so that they are brave enough to continue on this path.
Thank you for the microphone.
He's on the edge of the seat. I got it.
I didn't know what to say, so that's why I got the microphone. But maybe I will share some thought. I don't know how to answer your question, Ali, but there is a reflection that comes up to my mind. Namely, especially in computer science, we are used to a binary system. Things either work or they do not. The solution is a proper one or it is not. And in many cases, in computational intelligence, in models that involve numbers, real numbers, this is not the case. It is either impossible from the theoretical point of view, or even if it is possible from the theoretical point of view, it is practically unreachable to get a very correct solution because of the non-linearities of models, because of randomness of optimization tools. But what is fascinating for me is the power of computational intelligence methods, in particular evolutionary computation, that is gained from accepting errors. I mean, without noise, our nonlinear models, our random optimization methods would not work as good as they do with noise. And another thought, without very precise measures of success, which you have said about a few minutes ago, it is quite hard to establish what is the real correct answer. It's not always the case, but it's quite usual that the operation of a system, for example, operation of a system under the control of a model previously controlled using a nonlinear model, is very hard to evaluate, especially when the controller drives the model in a different way than the person used to drive. Because sometimes, as a measure of success, the operator would assume that the AI system should operate in the same way as I would do. And it is not usually the optimal way to do it. On the other hand, the person, it is quite possible to operate the system quite good. But the problem is that during the very early stage of the design of the system, when acquiring important data and important assumptions, we have missed something important. And without that important assumption, the optimal solution would look quite differently than it has been obtained by the system.
I'm dying here. So, I told you I used to work for a software company. I was an executive in the company, and I've been in a lot of executive meetings with the internal company and also with other private industry, enterprise. And if you make something, they will use it, right? They will use it. So the question of should you have this is one question, and I think it's very dangerous, to be quite honest, because they will use it. As you said, everybody right now is adding generative AI, even though they have no idea why, yeah? And if it makes sense. The concern I have is if you think about data, which is a key part of this, is everything depends on the data that we have. And a lot of times our data is based on past practices, which were not good practices, and we can just repeat bad practices in our models. So the answer is no, we shouldn't do it.
Okay, just a sentence. Maybe instead of highly interactive systems, I would prefer to say highly dynamic systems. Roughly, we can differentiate between application of AI or data science just on a snapshot of data just in a point of time, and maybe to repeat it from time to time. The other thing that much more attracts me is how to build the systems which are alive all the time, which refresh their data regularly, and you get a system which will last for years and decades in one company. That's maybe a very strong question, how to reach to that.
Thank you very much. And now this is the time for the last round of questions. This question is about education, so this is why you can see the Warsaw University of Technology here. Well, my original thought was to ask how to educate students about AI, about challenges, but also opportunities, right? We need a balance, but now I can see that I need to extend this question to you, how to educate students, how to educate business, venture capitals, big bosses, executives, right? Also end users, how to teach the whole society practically about AI. So Jarek, as the host, I would like you to start this round.
You extended the question, so I will extend it either. Why should we?
Okay,
why should we educate big bosses and some other people?
So I changed
do they need the knowledge?
So I changed the question. Is it, should we educate? And if yes, then how?
Well, at the University of Technology, we train people to answer the question, how to do. And we are doing our best, we could do it better, of course, to prepare our students to work with real-world problems, of course starting from academic problems. And in the, of course, I don't think that our university is something different to other universities. There is always a problem how to maintain the general view of the discipline instead of a bunch of single, very narrow specialties. We are trying to answer this challenge, but it's not so easy because every teacher, every professor has its own favorite AI technique, or every professor has everything his or her most favorite, and it's a big fun to talk about things that you are interested in. So that's why we are talking about very, very narrow specialties, and sometimes this broad picture can be lost. But also the university is the place whose mission is to educate the general audience. Why should we do so? Because otherwise, some other people will try to educate in a way that is not usually a proper one. That's why I think that that this is a challenge for the university to be much better heard in the general audience. And an attempt to that is the Festival of Science, who is currently held in many universities in Warsaw and in other places in Poland. And I can observe that the audience is quite differentiated, quite generally differentiated, because some people are of an age nearby the high school. Some are there are not so many students, but let's say people in their 30s, 40s, and people who retired. Well, I don't see that there are many people from the government or other public services, but no wonder, because they know better, because they have taken the advice. But why should we educate? Because otherwise, the number of or the percentage of those who were initially enthusiastic and went into the hate to AI will be growing. This is one answer. And secondly, that the picture of modern computer science, which is equivalent to AI, will be completely false. Because in the same time, the expectations will be greater than possible, and also the fear of something that is unknown to people will be also too big to be accepted for the society.
What was the question? What was the question? The question was, should we? Should we educate? Should we educate?
If yes, then how?
It depends on who he is. I think if the software companies and the management consulting companies will educate. Yeah, and I don't know if it's what you want them to educate, but they will educate the enterprises. So it's an opportunity now for the universities also to step in and to take the lead on that, because they will get educated, but maybe not the right way. Then the other thing is, well, who are we educating? If I look at it from a project point of view, what's missing is we don't really educate the project managers on their ethical role in AI. This is not something I've seen yet that I think needs to have a lot of emphasis. So in terms of this whole AI Act that's coming, GDPR, not only those, but what does it mean? When we talk about the data and your data collectors and your data modelers, where are they getting that data from? Are they repeating biases that exist? So there's a whole education for project managers that's needed that I see that's missing. And then there are new roles as well in this whole AI landscape. So if you think about the whole modeling aspect, there are whole groups of people now that are doing the metadata on the training data before it's created. So there's a whole set of activities around the people that need to look at the data that I see nobody really educating. So the answer is I think we should educate. I think it's a question of who should educate, and I think there are missing aspects in the education beyond just the modeling and the data collection.
So I say that I'm not sure if we should educate. I can see that the market kind of show us the demand for that, and that's what I'm going after. So we can see the demand for AI. So I think there is a niche for also educational activities for business people. And it's not only that part of the market, but also the workforce market, because we can see more and more junior data scientists, they are everywhere. And how do you select them, which people know the things that are actually used in your company, because there's so many AI tools and methodologies that there is no one person fits all profile. But QD software, for instance, we are using our technology based on a knowledge platform that Dominic mentioned before, and also model explainers, so to say, that helps us to recruit people. But then there is also the way people can learn about AI themselves. So I believe there are two types of people, either the ones that actually can do AI hands-on, and the other. And the first group of people, I think, they could really benefit from taking part in competitions like Kaggle, the global competition platform, or our domestic knowledge base, for instance, because there you can really test your knowledge, you can program, you can code, you can verify your hypothesis, iterate, and also get the support from the community, ask questions, get insights from other people. How did they approach the problem? And then for the business part of the landscape, I'd say that it's a really big challenge there. I think, well, the whole program AI Invite that we're carrying out at QD Software is to educate businesses that are really not on that maturity level of big enterprises that actually know what type of AI they need and how it should be used and what sort of ROI they can expect from that. They actually just would like to not fall behind. And those businesses do not really have the luxury of time anymore because this AI revolution is going so fast. And if a business is afraid of AI or is unaware of the opportunities that AI might bring to the business, it just risks falling behind in this competitive market that we have here today. So I believe what would help is maybe some foundational AI courses where you could do 3 things. You could demystify AI, so break the complex concepts, explain it to laymen so that they can understand it, because you can't really understand like 80% of the concepts probably to a high school student. And then you could show the business the cases of successful AI projects so they can see how it actually works for some other companies that were brave enough to try and implement that solution. And I think the last thing there, but very important, is to highlight the risks, because we're not painting the grass green here. We want them to not be afraid, but they want to educate them about the risks. So the ethical concerns, the practical implementation concerns, the usage. So at some that I'm not sure if we should. It seems like we should because that's what we see in the world is happening. And if so, then in my opinion, it's best to educate people who can do that. Just do it hands-on, try it for yourself and see the pitfalls for yourself, what's difficult there. And people who are just on the other side for using that tools will show up for some foundational knowledge courses on AI.
Thank you. Ivan?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So, I do not have any dilemma that formal academic education is extremely important. Extremely important if we like to provide a progress of some society. No dilemma. No compensation in short courses in everything else. Yes, short programs could be some addition. Of course, you like to go deeply to some areas. Self-learning is also important, but no replacement for academic education. What I see in practice today, you will find dilemmas. If I'm a business analyst or I would like to enroll for a call of data analyst or maybe machine learning engineer or maybe data engineer, okay, there are some slight differences. For students, it's important to prepare people who are ready to enter into all those jobs. Of course, your soul will tell you if I'm much more close to the business or I'm much more close to the maths and models inside, you will decide, but you must be prepared. So, I was lucky or unlucky in my life to work with 2 faculty of economics, with 1 department of management, engineering management, with 1 department of computer engineering, computer science, and control systems, with 2 faculty of mathematics. What I found, 3 totally different profiles of people. Mathematicians, they see complexity just in number of steps and deepness in reasoning of proving theorems. For what? Never mind. Practice is something dirty. It's not for me, it's for stupid engineers. When you look at the engineers, okay, give me a tool. I will click, I will do something. I'm a practice man, I don't like mathematics. For what? Never mind, it will be taught to me. For many years, managers, they are completely aware we have a problem, we need to solve the problem. But how? I will rent enough mathematicians and computer scientists because I don't know that in any way. So, those are divided words. Who will join them? How we will prepare our students to face with all those issues in all those areas. Okay, maybe I'm not the best mathematician, but I can understand the domain of the problem and so on. So from my point of view, I started creating a program in data science in 2012. even not knowing the notion of data science. Nobody told me that it's a data science, just it was very natural question who will resolve the problems in that way. So I believe that the formal education, academic education in that area should start in the first year of bachelor studies and continue to all the studies. Maybe not to go to primary school as we have a strategy today and so on. For people in primary school, please provide teachers in mathematics who will make those children like mathematics. It's important. When we really somehow design our children to like some areas and to enjoying that, so naturally they will, at their faculty level, learn all of that. That's my opinion. Thank you.
So, this is the end of the questions that we planned, and we are just about to start the opening. So now actually this is the question to you and the audience. Would you like to go to the opening and continue discussion over there? Or would you like to ask a few very important questions still to our panelists? Of course, Marcin will ask the questions. If there is anyone else who would like to ask the questions, it is also possible.
Okay, so Gloria, I like what you alluded to, because we had a friend who is now semi-retired, but he was looking at how digital technology is introduced to businesses. And typical model is, we have somebody from a big consulting company, let's say it has 2 letters in the name, and one sounds like EAT. They come to the industry and they are asking, so what are you guys doing? And they are describing what they are doing. So we have this person who is doing this, sending something to this person is doing something else, then sends something to this person who goes to this database and picks up some material, and there is a pipeline process and so on. And those consultants say, aha, we understand. Now we're gonna develop software that will precisely match your pipeline. And you know what? This is stupid, because it is not using at all the potential benefits of the digital technology. And what I am afraid a little bit, and I think that in your points, you alluded to it a little bit, that industry is coming in and is trying to apply artificial intelligence to help solve problems in pipelines within industries, rather than seeing it from the meta perspective, and maybe first ask, what is it that you guys are doing, and maybe there is something that can be done completely different if we have this thing that we name artificial intelligence. Maybe all the old way of processing things are completely bound by whatever technology was. So I would like you to comment on this. I mean, how can we move beyond? Because it seems like we are Neanderthals now with like, oh, we have artificial intelligence bone and we are hitting everything. And maybe if we hit something right, something good will happen. But how we get to the meta-reflection on use and actual, importantly, benefiting from artificial intelligence?
That was the question.
So I'm not sure I can answer the question, because what they're doing is basically where they make their money is repeating what you already do by selling it back to you after you told them what you do. So, I mean, maybe that's the wrong target audience is the consulting companies to do that, because if I look at a lot of what we call strategy, it's not really strategy, it is just defining automation on existing processes. So I think the opportunity here is some of the early adopters, you know, that you read about in the universities and you pick up the exercise. Maybe you guys now need to sell that back to the consulting company so they can then sell it to the to the end users. So I don't have the answer, to be quite honest.
Does anyone else have the answer?
I think that's the question back there.
Maybe you, Dominique, have an answer.
Maybe we should ask ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
Another question.
Very short one. We have discussed various aspects of implementation of AI in different kinds of business processes. Do you consider an academic or research process as special in any way? What's your standing on using various AI techniques in actual research and paper writing and things like that, knowing that right now almost 3/4 of papers are written with some usage of ChatGPT or similar tools, and it is increasing?
Thank you. Well, we talked about it a little bit at the very beginning, but do you have some additional comments? Impossible?
Okay.
It's not easy to enroll AI projects in academic environment, I think. So maybe we feel some differences. Why? Typically, you don't have enough data for that. So when you try to connect to industry, everything goes fine in the first moment, but finally, yes, there is a problem with trustfulness of data, there is a problem, do you have a right to approach the data, and so on. So we typically in academy cannot receive enough amounts of data to do something. Maybe one leg that could be of some interest are institutes for artificial intelligence for some applications in some domains, and they are somehow twofold. With one leg in academy and with another leg with some industry projects maybe. But in that way, maybe even some professional conferences in data science are sometimes much more attractive because you have practitioners from industry really reporting their results on that project, and from academy sometimes we are talking about, yes, it could be, it will be, but something lacks to say, yes, I have everything in my hands to resolve such problems. So for academy is much harder in these days, let's say, from my point of view, and from that perspective.
Thank you very much for the question and the answer. And we have time for one last question.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I would like to hear something positive, which means that I would ask the panelists if they want to answer this question. Have you seen or are you aware of any practical application of AI which you are satisfied with, which was positive? It doesn't mean that I don't know them, but I would like your opinion. Do you see any AI application which solved any problem?
What is the definition of AI in that way?
Well, I leave it to you.
This is a very good question, because we have the context of AI and the context of the success of the application, right? So, who would like to start?
Please go ahead. So I've seen a lot of predictive analytics used in business in a lot of different contexts, because obviously that's my day job. Interesting is things like using geospatial data to do prediction on risk based on different kinds of topical risks, earthquakes, floods, etc. I find that a very interesting area. I've seen a practical application of that in the insurance industry. Of course, we all know about the telecommunication industry and their prediction on who's going to churn, who's going to leave. So the marketing areas, lots of predictions going on in that area. Predictions in the area of predictive maintenance. So if we talk about predictions and using different methods to do predictions and actually integrating those in operational applications, seeing lots of that. But that's why I asked the definition of AI. Yeah.
I could add to that. One project I remember that we were working on the recruitment processes, so that was optimization of the recruitment processes, because we implemented the candidate scoring model that just sped up the whole process. And then, there is the whole area of UD Software partners for whom we create software which works. for instance, the on-stage AI startup that deals, I mean, what they do is they just replace people with AI. So instead of 5 or 6 cameramen, there is just one person operating the system, and the video feed from the music concerts gets produced by an autonomous algorithm, because it can digest the music in real time and identify whom to target the camera at. That's one example. Another example is also from our partner that with that computer vision project for to be able to continue doing business when the GDPR came, because that partner was digital out-of-home advertising company, and they wanted to count the audience that was people in the front of their LCD screens in the streets, and of course you cannot do that without consent of the bypassers. But we did a software that anonymized the image directly inside the camera, so it's not really stored anywhere. The original images are not stored anywhere, and you cannot crack them. And actually the company got acceptance. I don't remember the law firm, but they got the paper that they can use that software in the European Union where you have the GDPR. So yeah, that was several positive.
Ivan, Jarek, any?
From my very own experience, evolutionary computation control, a third of the Polish power sector, I mean to schedule the electricity production for the next day. The system to predict electricity load for the next day, for the day ahead. That involved both very simple linear prediction, but together with some non-linearities that enriched the forecast. The system that predicts the nitrate dioxide emission together with the temperature of steam in 200 megawatt power stations that can be spread for many Polish and many American power plants. These applications are, I think they could be classified as Industry 4.0 now, the next generation industry, but still they involve an old-fashioned AI. As for modern AI, which I don't have my hands on, I would bet that some AI successful applications are in military areas, and from general press we know that during the war in Ukraine, AI systems that support recognizing objects are in the action. And also a very successful project that has been involved into the social scoring in China.
Ivan, would you like?
Maybe some other question, if there is.
Oh no, this is the last one. So, okay, so that was the last question. Now this is the time for Get Together party. But first of all, thank you very much. Thanks to our panelists. And thank you for listening to the panel. So now, let's have some fun.